Hello everyone, we're live with the final episode of Let's Argue. My name is Ramses and today I'm going to be taking on your hot takes, controversial opinions, and everything stupid that you post on Twitter. Today we're going to be doing the opposite of last time. We're going to be figuring out where I'm wrong. So if there's anything that I say that you disagree with, please let me know in the comments down below and let's find out why Coach Ramses is not infallible. I'm really excited for this final episode, guys. I hope you are too. Make sure to take and let's get into the video. I believe Lucina will eventually fall on the tier list and as a character once time passes. If Smash continues like it is now, I believe Lucina won't be a top tier anymore. However, she will still be very strong and solo viable, just not as hot as people think she is now in the meta. I actually don't know what to think about this one because in my circles, and this could be just me, Lucina is not seen as like the most insane character. I think she's seen as like a top tier character who is very strong and solo viable, like Mitsu says here, but not like the super hotness that he is making her out to be. So I think this take, like the validity of this take, kind of depends on your circles. If your circles think Lucina is amazing, they're probably wrong. I think she's an amazing character, like a strong character, but not that amazing. If your circles think she is a solo viable and strong character, then I would say they're correct. I think she has a very solid matchup spread all around, doesn't have too many losing matchups, very solo viable. The losing matchups are definitely winnable for Lucina, especially because of how strong her normals are, her back air, her forward smash, and then her shield breaker. In this game, especially because of the increased input delay, that much stronger versus people who try to shield to compensate for her big, strong hitboxes. That said, a character that is solo viable, in my opinion, is basically top tier or the top of high tier, which means that, to me, she's not overrated too much. Quintius says having years of experience is overrated. It can be bypassed through knowledge, theory crafting, visualization, and efficient practice. As a bonus, just playing the game with a focus in mind is not efficient practice. What a take, and I do have to agree with this one. Years of experience is overrated, and I do believe that's because data transfer is just way more efficient now. Back in the days, if you do have years of experience, it usually comes from a time when data or knowledge in general, I should say, wasn't shared very efficiently. So back then, everyone kind of had to figure stuff out on their own. And now you can go to a coach, you can go to a knowledgeable player and kind of get your data there. There's also a lot more research into efficient practice, deliberate practice, stuff like that, which can really boost your efficiency. And in general, players have a better start. The general knowledge, like the zeitgeist of the games, is more advanced, more developed, which just kind of helps everyone who's starting out. It's interesting that he notes knowledge, theory crafting, visualization, and efficient practice, because I do think those are like the basis of any player. Your knowledge, very important to draw from. And in that regard, I think there's a lot of evolution. Actually, now we have ultimate frame data, we have a lot of tools with which you can easily expand your knowledge. We have better VODs, more tournaments, which in turn, once again, just expand your knowledge base. And then years of experience helps you with recognizing situations as they come up because you've probably seen them before. But if you are like me or many of the other pros, you've probably changed characters or the system mechanics has changed, which invalidates a lot of this prior knowledge. Yes, you build up your fundamentals, but building up fundamentals is a very abstract thing, and some of the fundamentals that you think you've built up might not even carry over to another character or another game. It's very hard to judge, and I do think it's a very easy excuse for people who are newer to the scene. Oh, right, I don't have enough experience. But those who specifically practice this new game, like Smash Ultimate, will definitely improve in great strides. I do think prior experience can actually be a handicap to some degree because you have to override muscle memory, you're less flexible in general, and that is definitely something that is kind of understated. The fact that people put Mario in top 15 now is proof that the character is actually easily top 10. Mario has a very high skill ceiling, and optimizing him will take a long time. When played optimally, this character is insane. Oh man, that is so much said in so little characters, and I actually definitely disagree there. I think Mario is actually a little bit overrated. He does do a lot better than people thought at the beginning of the game, where people would put him in mid-tier. Myself included, I was actually very skeptical of Mario being a good character, and I mean, Wizzy is showing that the character can definitely perform at a top level, but I don't think he is top 10, let alone easily top 10. I don't think he has a very high skill ceiling either. I actually think the character is relatively simple. His tools are very straightforward, and usually characters that are combo based progress worse as the meta progresses because they don't have a lot of room to optimize versus characters that are advantage state reliant, who usually do better as players get better at abusing advantage state, at doing frame traps, at understanding situations, whereas combos kind of stay the same regardless of that, because there's not a lot you can do when you are in a combo. Yes, when Mario is played optimally, he's extremely good, but his weaknesses are very straightforward, and I don't think he has a lot of tools to deal with those. I do think he has decent range with his back air. I think he can play the long range fine because of Flood, because of Fireball approaches, which kind of puts him in a little bit of a trapper archetype, which is very unusual for close range brawlers. But at the end of the day, I think all of these tools can be counterplayed by the matchups that he already struggles with, and I don't really see him overcoming those even when you optimize his combos. Straightforward characters means that they're very accessible, which means that they do well as soon as the game comes out, like Mario, like Wolf, like Palutena, and then as time goes on, usually more counterplay gets figured out on like a system mechanics level, or because the more complicated characters that they're playing against will be developed further. So yeah, definitely don't agree that Mario is one of the best characters in the game. I think he's very strong though, just not top tier material, in my opinion. The standard timers of 7 minutes should be reduced to 6 minutes. Ultimate games drag compared to other fighting games, and timeout should be a more viable win condition. Ooh, okay, so I think this actually doesn't have a clear answer. Is he capping? Is he just telling the truth? I don't know. But I do know that at the end of the day, if you do decrease the timer, then every second that you wait is a more impactful second towards that alternative win condition. Do we as a community value timeouts as an alternative win condition, or do we not? That's kind of the question we're asking here. And some people will say, hey, timeout's a perfectly viable way to win the game. And other people will say, hey, that's lame, get that out of my tournament games. It's kind of up to the breeder here. I do personally believe that the 7-minute timer is a good average. I do think some matches do drag, but for the players, I don't think they drag at all. I think for the players itself, they're constantly engaged, and it's fun enough to watch. As you do get into the lower timer numbers, that could actually promote camping, because normally, say you're playing a 7-stock match, after 6 minutes, there's 1 minute left on the clock. That's when you start hard camping. For that timeout, that's 1 minute of camping out of the 7, which is relatively little, whereas in a 6-minute match, it would be 1 minute out of 5, or 1 minute out of 6, I should say, I'm sorry, and that's a lot more. So yeah, it's kind of up to the interpreter here. I personally think we're fine with 7 minutes. I don't think we should go to 8. I think that's kind of a little bit too much, but 6, definitely an alternative, not my personal preference though. Link Bomb is overrated in neutral, takes away your ground game, which makes you really predictable, delays your aerials a bit since you have to set drop and before, and also lose to any aerials, which put you in a disadvantage at close medium range where detonation will hit yourself. It's also negative on hit until like 50% on thrown, and doesn't really combo until around 100%. Most bomb pressure is pretty fake because players simply don't know how it works, which further encourages mid-level links to practice bomb gimmicks over actual neutral. I do think Link's bomb is overrated in neutral, but I also think it might be a little bit misused. I think it's a good way to set up a trap to kind of occupy an area which you normally could not occupy with that lasting hitbox and the threat of the explosion. It is not a strong neutral tool. I definitely think his Boomerang and his normals are way better tools, but if you do have time to set up the bomb, it can definitely accentuate your neutral just by accentuating your long range. On top of that, having an item in hand is just so very strong. It makes your shield that much stronger, and having a strong shield in this game is extremely potent between that bomb toss and the up B as well, which is still available even when you have the bomb in hand. So bomb, a very hard tool to use for sure, and I don't agree with the mid-level links, so to say, that are focusing on bomb gimmicks rather than a solid neutral, but bomb still has a lot of applications for neutral and can still be a strong tool in Link's arsenal, and could in some matchups even be key. For example, versus a charge shot character like Samus, like Mewtwo, it could deny the charge shot option entirely and enable the camping from Link. Other stuff like that definitely still possible. For slower characters, you can very easily occupy an area. On Smashville, you can lay it on a platform and really prevent those jumping approaches, cover the ground and cover the air, really try to bait out your opponent there and force a reaction on their part. Is it the core of your neutral? No. Are the gimmicks powerful? Not really, but is bomb still a powerful tool? That's for sure. Inkling is extremely underrated, especially by their own mains, having a shitload of privileges including a literally broken hurt box and a stupid ink mechanic that allows them to gain insane momentum out of their busted back air. Ooh, a little bit of a hard one to judge because I do think Inkling has fallen off in recent meta. But I do agree he's definitely underrated, or they're definitely underrated by their character mains, and their character mains are usually a little bit too privileged to really see the proper answers to some of the issues they're dealing with. Oftentimes I see Inkling mains complain about their kill issues or issues with anti-airing, while I do believe both these issues are relatively easy to fix or they have some straightforward fixes. Inkling kind of falls under the motto of simple character that does well early on and then kind of falls off as the meta progresses, kind of like Mario, but I do believe Inkling has enough depth to kind of mitigate a lot of those weaknesses, and as Aki said, some insane privileges like the dash hurt box, and the back air just being an amazing move. In general, I think a lot of Inklings could do well by turning anti-air situations in more of a horizontal situation using their broken dash dance or just dash in general. On top of that, while yes, Inkling can struggle to kill in her losing matchups, she also is one of the best characters at dealing damage, which means that all in all, if you look at how many interactions this takes to KO the opponent, Inkling is actually, in my opinion, relatively average, also has some of the best ledge trapping in the game with that splat bomb, and has a lot of room to kind of explore some new options in the neutral with their special moves. Thanks for joining me for the final part of episode 1 of Let's Argue. This was honestly lots of fun to do. It's really fun seeing what you guys think about the game and, you know, just getting an idea of the controversial opinions out there in the scene. If you're interested in another episode of Let's Argue, let me know on Twitter, let me know on Discord, let me know on Twitch. All of the links are in the description. Guys, that is going to be all from me. Thank you so very much for staying with me for these 3 awesome parts. And guys, remember, stay smart.